In the vast expanses of the Arctic, where icy winds howled over snow-covered plains and giant icebergs slowly drifted in the cold waters, a dramatic story unfolded. On one of the ice fields, surrounded only by white snow and an endless sea, a lonely polar bear named Urs was struggling to survive. His once snow-white fur, proud and shining, was now covered in gray spots, tangled and dull. The cause was hundreds of sharp barnacles that tightly clung to his body, digging into his skin and leaving bleeding ulcer. Every step brought the bear unbearable pain, and hunger and fatigue drained his strength. Urs could not hunt, could not swim with his former dexterity, and his once powerful body was weakening with each passing day. Urs stopped at the foot of a huge iceberg, breathing heavily. His eyes, although dim from pain, still held a spark of hope. He looked at the endless horizon, as if searching for salvation in this harsh, icy world. Silence reigned around, broken only by the creaking of ice and the splash of waves crashing against ice floe. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the low hum of an engine. The fishing vessel Northern Star appeared from over the horizon, cutting through the icy water. The ship's captain, an experienced sailor named Ivan Stepanovich, noticed in the distance the huge figure of a bear, whose stillness and exhausted appearance alarmed him. He looked closely through his binoculars and gasped. The bear's body was covered with barnacles, like a shell, and its movements were slow and painful. Ivan immediately gathered a team of 10 sailors, including biologist Anna, mechanic Sergei, and a young sailor Petr, full of enthusiasm. "This is not just a bear in trouble," Ivan said, looking at the team. "This is our chance to help wildlife. We must act quickly, but carefully." The team prepared rescue equipment, strong ropes, a crane, medical instruments, and a box of fresh fish to calm the animal. Anna, as a biologist, explained that the barnacles probably attached themselves to the bear when he was in the water for a long time, and now their sharp shells are destroying his skin, causing infections. They had to act immediately to save Urs. The ship slowly approached the iceberg, where the bear lay. Urs, noticing the movement, raised his head and let out a weak roar. His strength was running out, and he could neither run nor defend himself. Petr, the youngest of the crew, volunteered to be the first to approach the bear. He took a fish with him and slowly, cautiously, placed it on the ice a few meters from Urs. The bear sniffed, his nostrils twitched, and he slowly reached for the food. This was a sign that he did not perceive people as a threat. Anna and Sergei joined Petr. They spoke in soft voices, trying not to frighten the bear. Urs looked at them with distrust, but hunger and weakness forced him to accept the food. While he ate, the crew carefully tied a wide cloth band around his body so that the crane could lift him on board. Ivan, standing at the wheel, watched every movement, giving clear commands. The crane slowly started working, and Urs, although he shuddered from the touch of the cold cable, did not resist. His huge body, covered in wet fur and barnacles, rose above the water, and the crew held their breath, watching the bear soar over the icy sea. On the deck of the Northern Star, Urs was carefully lowered onto a soft canvas mat. Anna immediately began examining him. The ulcers on the bear's skin were deep, some were bleeding, while others were covered with a crust of dirt. The barnacles had grown into the fur and skin, causing inflammation. The crew split up. Anna and 2 sailors began removing the parasites using tweezers, scalpels, and special pincers, while Sergei and Petr prepared warm water and disinfectant solutions. Removing the barnacles was a long and painstaking process. Each time a sharp shell broke off from the skin, Urs winced slightly, but his strength was running out, and he only grumbled quietly. The sound of the shells falling to the deck resembled the tinkling of glass. Anna worked with special care, trying not to damage the already inflamed skin. After most of the barnacles were removed, the crew began cleaning the wounds. The warm water washed away dirt and dried blood, revealing red, inflamed areas. Petr, despite his youth, held himself confidently, helping Anna apply the disinfectant solution. Urs let out a low groan, but did not resist. It seemed to understand that people were trying to help him. After cleaning the wounds, the crew applied sterile dressings to the deepest wound. Ivan brought several old blankets from the hold to cover the bear and protect him from the Arctic wind blowing across the deck. Urs was shaking, but his breathing was becoming more even. Sergei placed a bucket of fresh fish next to the bear, and Urs, albeit slowly, began to eat. The crew watched with smiles, feeling their hearts fill with warmth from the knowledge that they were giving this majestic animal a chance to live. Over the next 3 days, the crew of the Severnaya Zvezda devoted themselves to caring for Urs. Every morning, Anna checked his wounds, changed his bandages, and watched for signs of infection. Petr, who had quickly become attached to the bear, brought him fish and even tried to talk to him, telling him stories about the sea. Urs, although he did not understand words, seemed to be calmed by his voice. By the evening of the 3rd day, the bear began to show signs of recovery. His eyes became clearer and his movements became more confident. He even tried to get up and walk along the deck, although his paws were still shaking. On the 4th day, Ivan gathered the team for a discussion. Anna confirmed that Urs's wounds were healing, and his strength was returning. The bear was no longer in mortal danger, and it was time to return him to his native environment. The team unanimously decided that Urs was ready to be returned to the wild. They prepared the crane and checked the cables to ensure that the lowering process would go as smoothly as possible. Peter, standing next to the bear, stroked its head and whispered, "You can do it, big one. This is your home." Urs, as if realizing that his adventure on the ship was coming to an end, calmly allowed himself to be tied with ropes. The crane slowly lifted him off the deck, and the crew, lining the side, watched as the bear sank into the icy water. The cold waves embraced his body, and for a moment, Urs froze. But then his powerful paws began to work, cutting through the water. He swam confidently, as if rediscovering his strength. The crew of the Northern Star stood silently, watching as Urs circled the ship. His eyes, now bright and full of life, met Ivan's. There was something more than words in this silent exchange. Gratitude, connection, understanding. Then Urs turned and swam toward the horizon, his silhouette gradually dissolving among the iceberg. The waves gently swayed behind him, and only a slight ripple reminded him of his presence. When the bear disappeared from sight, the crew burst into applause. Peter wiped away a tear, Anna smiled, and Ivan, standing at the helm, said, "We did a good deed. May he live long." The Northern Star turned around and headed for the next port, taking with it a story of salvation, compassion, and how even in the harshest corners of the world, human kindness can change fate. Thank you for listening to this story. If you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new stories about the wonders of wildlife.